So in terms of the impact, I think it's still early days. The managers who got it right at the beginning or already had it. And I think they were already really up for it. So I think those people, it's made more solid. There's more confidence in saying that's the way I'm going to do things. And that's what's expected and accepted and all that sort of stuff. And I think some of the other people who were less, I think we've still got some diehard, I know it already, don't really know what that was about, why bother? And then they find things in their quality assurance reviews about, have you thought about this? Did you ask about this? Where's the evidence of this conversation? I think they're beginning to see where it goes, but that cultural change will probably take a really long time for them, if at all. It is true what people say about that it requires time. It does take time, particularly when it's not your second nature, when it's not kind of embedded in you. And to follow a model like Gibbs takes time. But I think there is definitely a move to think more seriously about the work we do. Lots more conversations about why we do what we do. I'm not hearing loads of requests for therapy anymore. So that presumably means that maybe what managers are feeling better able to hold those spaces. I think that actually one of the things that was really good was when you gave your proposal, it felt like you'd listened. You met us first, and Leslie particularly was very keen, was very excited to see Gibbs there because she's a big fan of Gibbs. And, actually I think Gibbs is one of the easiest, it's true. But I suppose it felt like, because that's what we talked about as part of that meeting, and it felt like you'd heard the kind of, you were working with stuff we were on board with. It wasn't entirely new. You had a whole load of other things that you could have brought, but you kind of chose to go with us. So I think that's quite reassuring, I suppose. So I think that was part of it. I think the bid was very comprehensive. Just the whole thing about being able to really clearly explain the why and the journey and what you expected and what we were expecting at each point, and all of that kind of stuff was really easily accessible and understandable and felt entirely realistic, as opposed to sometimes you just get all sorts of kind of very vague stuff. It felt very clear and precise and hit those points needed. Thing about working with you as an organisation is that I think you're incredibly responsive and trying to say the stuff that you, Mary and I did, and the kind of constant checking in and reshaping and tweaking and stuff, like is both reassuring, but it's also feels like you really think you're getting value for money because you're getting stuff that's bespoke to you. It's not just, well, this is our program, so I'm just going to deliver it and we'll talk to you again at the end. It really felt like, and I've said it to you before, that you feel like a safe pair of hands. And I think for a busy organisation, it's really nice to know someone else is holding this, is aware of it, is bringing to us the bits we need to know, is knowing where you want us to comment and feed in. You always knew the questions you needed. You always knew what information you were going to get out of a meeting, what you were trying to pass on. Like it always felt like valued the time well spent. Didn't feel like meeting for meeting's sake. All of those things were quite clear in your original kind of brief. It set out that kind of tone about, we know what we're doing. We're not going to, we're not going to waste time. We're not going to faff about it. We're going to do what we said we're going to do. Kind of said about being a fake pair of hands, you absolutely feel like you know what you're talking about. You're a very good front woman to learn. I'm sure you know that it's like you are excellent because you kind of, partly because you're really passionate, like you really believe in the stuff that you're talking about. It doesn't feel like you're kind of just, it feels like it matters to you and that you understand what you're talking about, but you're also very, very open. You don't come saying this is the way it is, this is the way it's going to be. You'll pull out things from other people, work on it, take an idea and run with it. And all of that stuff is really, it's reassuring, but it also makes you feel like you're part of the process. I think that's a really good approach you have. I would definitely suggest with you. You absolutely know your stuff. You know what you're doing. You are in it. You don't disappear. You're in it from the beginning to the end. So you're incredibly reliable. You're incredibly organised. You're very flexible and responsive. And so they get good value for money. There isn't anybody I've come across in your organisation who I don't think knows what they're doing. It's been a real joy working with you. I've learned loads. I appreciate the whole style and way of being. It's really nice because there's loads of people in this kind of work. There are lots of people that do this and you just think, oh, get over yourself. But you don't take yourself too seriously. You feel very normal and accessible, and that's really nice. I think that probably won over some people because you weren't too up yourselves about, this is the way we do it.